Welcome to Rosie's Italian Kitchen. Today we're going to try our hand at making sauce for you. I've had so many requests for it that I thought that I would put it on YouTube so everyone can try it and see how they like the way I make my sauce. A meat sauce, or you can make a marinara sauce or whatever. There's lots of different kinds that you can make. However, today I'm going to make my traditional tomato sauce with meatballs and sausage. So we can get started. The first thing I want to do is introduce my two friends who are going to be assisting me today in this important endeavor. I have here Paula and I have Joyce. Now Joyce is an Italian lady, just like I am. However, she doesn't know what she's doing as far as Italian food goes. Paula has a better excuse. She's a Swede, and she's not supposed to know how to cook Italian
but
food.
I love it.
Yeah.
We love it. We love it.
So we're going to try to make it today, and I hope that when I get done with this, you'll be just as good at it as I am. I'm going to tell you right from the beginning what the trick is to my sauce. And that is cook, cook, cook. The longer you cook it, the better it is. Okay?
So if you like what you're seeing today, go to YouTube, subscribe, and like.
And then maybe we'll get a lot of subscribers. And who knows? Then we'll be able to do some more Italian cooking for you. We plan to make eggplant parmesan in the future, and I haven't met anybody who doesn't like my eggplant.
It's the best.
We'll have to see about that. So we're going to start by discussing what first goes into the pot, and that's going to be the 3 different vegetables that I use. I used to years ago just use garlic in my sauce, garlic and olive oil. But now in the past few years, I have added chopped carrots, onions, and celery. And I find once the ladies have ground up the vegetables, then we're going to add them. We're going to put a little olive oil on the bottom of the pot, and we're going to first put in the onion and saute that a little bit for a minute or 2, and then we're going to add the carrots and the celery and saute that for another couple of minutes, and then the garlic. The reason we put the garlic in last is because we don't want it to burn. There's nothing worse, there's nothing worse than burnt garlic when you're having sauce. It ruins the whole texture of the sauce and the taste of the sauce. So you want to be very careful how you take care of that, right? I'm trying to be animated.
That's very good.
Animated,
sweetheart.
All right.
Look at her.
All right. So anyway, Paula's going to show us how to make very finely chopped carrots.
Again. So she likes them ground very fine, so it's almost like a paste that these carrots are.
And that's because you want them to sort of melt in the sauce. The longer you cook the sauce, the better, the finer the carrots are, and the more that they will melt into the sauce. And that's the reason for making everything very fine. Now, I use a mini processor. It has done the job for me for many years. I've never gotten a big food processor. I never found that I needed one, and I find that this mini thing, besides working well, takes up a lot less room. Okay, so anyway, now these are the different vegetables that have been ground up. And these are, see, the onion, the celery, and the carrot. The first thing, oh yeah, well that's the garlic. The garlic I don't grind it up because I buy it already chopped up. Now, the thing is, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the onion. And the first thing we're going to put some olive oil on the bottom of the pan. Just a little bit, enough to fry, to saute the things. And the first thing we're going to add is the onion. The onion takes longer to saute. And that's why we're going to put that in for a minute or so. And stir that up. After that has cooked for a little bit, for a minute or two, we're going to add the celery and we're going to add the carrots. The carrots sweeten the sauce, and I think if you're only going to put one of them in, put the carrots, because that sweetens the sauce. And it takes away the little bit of the sour. You know, down here in Florida, it's not that easy to get good tomatoes, canned tomatoes. When I lived up in New York, they had many different kinds of brands of Italian tomatoes that we could buy. Down here they have a few, but not as many. And so what I use now is I use a sauce and I use a puree. And I use a crushed tomato as well, but I find that they are more sour than years ago when I was able to get what I wanted, when I get the brands that I wanted. So anyway, what I have to do then, and I'll get to it in a little while, is I have to add a little bit of sugar. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So now we're sauteing everything. We've sauteed this for a few minutes now, and we're going to add the garlic last, because the garlic cooks very fast and it burns. So we don't want to do that.
It's beginning to smell very good in here.
You can start it. How about that?
Yummy.
Okay. So now Joyce is going to open up the cans for us. And you can use either 3 cans of sauce or puree and 1 can of crushed, or you can use 4 cans of puree. Whatever you want to do. Sometimes I use them both, and I find that if you use a little bit, 1 can of crushed, it gives it a little bit more consistency. I don't usually put tomato paste in my sauce. Occasionally, if you get very weak, watery puree, you may want to add a little bit of tomato paste. But I don't do that generally. And
Now Rosie uses the 4 cans of tomato sauce, like she mentioned, and they're around 29 ounces. So 3 cans are the sauce, and 1 can are the crushed tomatoes. So that's 4 in total
that's right.
that she uses for her recipe.
So I have my strong friend Joyce opening the tomato cans. Okay, and how are you doing, Paula, with the stir?
I'm lowering it a little bit.
Oh yeah, you got a little way now. Okay, I'll burn it. Is it time to add the first can of sauce?
It is.
I'm waiting
Okay.
for you. Okay, so be careful it doesn't splash. This is my crushed tomatoes. Here comes a can of my sauce. And the second sauce.
And here comes the last can of sauce.
Terrific. Okay. Stir that all up. Now, that's That's the minimum that I use. I don't use less than 4 cans because otherwise, like I said with my meatballs, why bother? You're going through all this trouble and then you'll wind up having nothing at the end. I sometimes, most likely, often, I use more than 4 cans. And then what I do when I have it left over is I store it in my little plastic containers and I put them in my freezer. And I make sauce usually once every 3 weeks or so that I have it for, and we have it every Sunday. We used to have it during the week as well, and sometimes we do. However, I'm trying to watch my weight. So
She's very generous. She shares it with all of her neighbors.
So therefore, we don't have the pasta is my favorite food in the world, and I don't have it as much as I would like. If I had my druthers, I'd have it every night, but I can't because it's just got too many carbohydrates in it. So that's why I don't have it every night. So anyway, I have to add, because I talked about that we can't seem to get the quality in the sauce that we used to get years ago, I have to add some sugar to my sauce because I find that it's too acidic otherwise. So I have here a half a cup of sugar that I put in. And then I put in about a teaspoon of salt. And you know, that's all according to taste. The other thing that I've read about, excuse me for a minute, is that when you have acidic sauce, you add butter. And so here is a half a stick of unsalted butter that I'm going to add to my sauce. And that's going to hopefully remove all of the acidity from my sauce, and it's going to be excellent when we get done.
It is always excellent.
No, okay. And
It's about the basil. When are we going to add the basil?
we're going to add some of the basil now. You can take some of that and wash it
Okay.
and just
We
throw
have
it
a
in.
few little bunches of leaves.
Yeah,
Should be in that.
and then, yeah.
So, Rosie told me a little hint. If you don't have a fresh basil plant at your house, you can use this basil paste that you can find in the vegetable department at the grocery store. It is fresh basil. It's condensed. It's very good.
Yes. Right now we have the regular basil.
Now
so
we've
we're
got to
okay.
cut this up in little pieces.
You can also buy packaged basil, but the basil that you get in the package is so small that you're much better off buying a basil plant, almost the same amount of money, and then buying one of them every couple of months instead of just buying the little bit of basil. But that condensed basil does come in handy for me. I seem to use it more often than not because I always forget that I don't have any more fresh basil left. We're going to be cooking this sauce for approximately 2 hours before we add the meatballs and the sausage to it. Okay?
Okay, now your basil is ready.
Okay, all right.
It's all chopped up in little pieces. And we are now ready to add it to our sauce.
Very good.
Okay.
Good. I bought Italian mild sausage because I don't like a hot sausage in my sauce, but a lot of people do, and there's nothing wrong with buying a hot sausage instead. It's all according to your tastes.
Okay. Now half of the meatballs
Yeah.
are in and ready to cook slowly.
This is going to cook another hour, and at that time, my sauce will be done. Hopefully it will taste good. There will be no sour taste. It will, because then also the pork and the meatballs, which I make half pork anyway, will blend in with the sauce and have a much better flavor.
The recipe will be down below, and don't forget to please like and subscribe. I promise you, the best sauce you've ever had.